Hey, everybody, it's Pastor Daniel with Connection Church. Today is day 26 of our 40 Days of Purpose, and our special guest is Charity. Hi, Charity.
Hi, Daniel.
How you doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
Fantastic. You were the first one that we interviewed, and you had really good views on the video and intimidated even Austin, because Austin was like, I didn't get any views, and Charity got all the views. And so welcome back. So take that, Austin.
Yes, thanks for having me back.
Well, today we're talking about temptation. Our third purpose is to become more like Christ. And today talked about how God uses temptation to help us to grow. And temptation works in like a progression. It starts with a desire, it leads to doubt, it goes to deception, and then finally ends up in sin called disobedience. And he talked about a way to combat it or to overcome temptation. And he talked about how we need to refuse to be intimidated by it and recognize a pattern of temptation in our lives and prepare for that and plan for it. And then finally, to request help from God. Lots of great stuff. I hope people are really absorbing all the information in today's reading. But Charity, for today's purposes, what is something that stood out to you?
Yeah, so the big idea today is that every temptation is an opportunity to do good, which is never a way that I really thought of it. In the past couple of days, I've had the realization that it's really a mindset shift. I think a couple of days ago, he used the phrase that Christianity is more of a lifestyle than a religion. And just like changing the way that we view things, thinking of temptation as an opportunity to develop and become more like Christ, as opposed to always thinking of it as something negative, was a big idea that stuck with me today.
Yeah, me too, because I never really think of temptation as anything good. But he talked about every time, you make a choice. Temptation brings you to a choice. You have an opportunity to go the way you shouldn't, or you have the opportunity to go the way you should. And every time we overcome those, it does something for us, and it leads us in the right direction. So as you're thinking about maybe applying this to your life, what are some changes you think could happen in your life in understanding this?
I really like the way that he lays out practical steps for us to overcome temptation. It's really empowering just to prepare for it and know in advance that it's coming. He says that we never really outgrow temptation, and that it's something that we're always going to face, and that temptation itself is not the sin, and that we are faced with a choice. So just knowing that I can be more aware of when I'm being tempted, and just prepare for it. He says wise planning reduces temptation. These are things that I could just keep in mind next time I'm tempted, to really overcome it and to make the right choice.
Yeah, that's good to have those steps. One of the things that kind of traps us up sometime when we are tempted is he said sometimes we don't turn to God because we don't want to. And one of the traps of deception is that we feel like, hey, I know what is best for me more than God does. And then there's these voices like, you deserve this, and this will fulfill a need that you have for you. And so all these voices come in and speak to us and can lead us to make a wrong decision. So it's good for me to realize, and I think all of us to realize, that this temptation isn't all negative. I mean, the temptation to sin is negative, but the interaction with temptation is not negative if we choose the right way, because it leads us to become more like Christ. So what are some closing thoughts you have for us today? Do you have any?
Yes, refuse to be intimidated. I think that's going to be my main takeaway for today. We don't need to be intimidated by this, and that if we are faced with temptation, we can request God's help. I like the part about the SOS, or the microwave prayers. That God wants us to reach out to him when we're in this situation. It's a way for us to just stay dependent on him. So just really not to be intimidated. It's not a sign of weakness to be tempted, and that we can always call on God.
Yeah, that's good. It's not a sign of weakness or worldliness to be tempted. Even Jesus was tempted, but he didn't sin. He didn't he always made the right choice. And because of that, we can do that too. It says every time, this was encouraging too, because it can be discouraging when you say, you're never going to outgrow temptation. It's always going to be there. You're like, what? At some point, I feel like I should get rid of this. But the point is, it's a good opportunity. It says every time you stand up to a temptation, you become more like Jesus. So that's where we should refuse to be intimidated, because we're going to become more like Jesus. If we keep our focus on him and our trust in him, we will become like him. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. That was great. That's going to get a lot of views today. Take that, Austin. Anyway, it was great to see you again today. We're out of time and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yes. Thanks, Daniel.
And for everybody else, we will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.